Welcome to Amy's Archives. This is the best of the best. This is my very best content, the content that has helped thousands of women just like you. So go in, enjoy, and if you want access to the full video in its original format, see the description below for the link. Dive in and enjoy, and please leave comments so I know how to better support you. So today we're going to talk about busting some period myths. So first I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's at the core of period and fertility in Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is one of the oldest medicines. It's been around for 5,000 plus years. It's quite a romantic medicine, right? There's a lot of analogies to nature, and we just believe living in accordance with nature and the Tao, and just we do believe that fertility and a menstrual cycle, a healthy menstrual cycle, is a luxury, is showing that your body has an abundance to give up. So this is some information from a text that was written 5,000 years ago. Tiangui is what we call menstrual blood. So it's called heavenly water. So it's water that pours out of you that comes down from the heavens, right? That's a kind of romantic and spiritual, I think. But just listen to this story and you'll understand it more. So in an old age person is not able to produce offspring. Is it because exhaustion of vitality, or is it predestination by the law of nature? So the teacher then responds, and he wants to go through the cycles of a woman's life. So he says, when a girl reaches the age of 7, the kidney energy is so rich that baby teeth are replaced by adult teeth and the hair begins to grow long. So hair is the flourishing of the kidney energy. Kidneys are like our essence, right? I talk about this a lot in my books, but kidneys are our essence. It's like our vitality, you would almost look at it as like our genetic template. So when the kidney qi is flourishing, the baby teeth will be replaced by adult teeth, and because the bones become really strong. Then the hair is also an extension of the bone, so the hair begins to grow long. That's also like another sign that the kidney qi is flourishing, right? At the age of 2 times 7, so 14, the kidney qi is so full that the Tiangui arrives. Tiangui is the heavenly water, also known as the menstrual water. The Renmai, which is our vessel that runs through our fertility meridians, courses, and the Changmai, which is the vessel of blood. This is all Chinese medicine. I know it might go over your head a little bit, but so basically these vessels that are meant for, for our fertility and our menstruation become full with this heavenly water. And it becomes so rich and full that it overflows and we get a period. So we say when the Tiangui, when the heavenly water is so rich and full, it overflows and a woman begins menstruating and she is now fertile. So this is at the age of 14. At the age of 3 times 7, so 21, kidney qi is calm and even. The wisdom teeth come in. So it's like very strong bones, very strong qi, and the hair grows long and luscious. At the age 4 times 7, so 28, the sinews and the bones are strong, the hair is luscious, and the body is fully developed. At the age of 5 times 7, the yang ming mai weakens, the complexion starts to wither, and the hair starts to wither, right? So now there's a decline. That's 35. I mean, Western medicine talks about this too. At 42, the channels continue to weaken and the complexion and the hair still continue to wither. The hair might turn white in the 40s. At the age of 49, the Renmai, so that's the vessel that holds that Tiangui, the menstrual blood, is now deficient. The Changmai dwindles, that's the channel sea of blood, we call it, and the period stops. And that's when fertility comes to an end. So in Chinese medicine, we believe that from the age of 14 until the age of 49, a woman is fertile. And so it's all about, during those years, maintaining the health and optimal functioning of this Tiangui, of the menstrual heavenly water. So anyway, I wanted to read that to you because to me it's so beautiful, and that's part of my passion about Chinese medicine. I studied Western medicine before I became an acupuncturist and a master of traditional Chinese medicine, and You know, Western medicine doesn't have this kind of romantic beauty that it talks about, you know, this heavenly water, and when it's abundant and overflowing, her fertility is thriving. I mean, I just love it. And so what I try to do clinically, you know, my main goal with anybody who's coming to see me, especially for fertility, but really just general health, I talk to every woman about her period, regardless of where she is in her fertility journey or not. She might not be trying to conceive, but her period tells me a lot. Tells me about the state of the Tiangwei, the heavenly water. How does that look? What's the color? How much does it flow? Is it painful? Is it clotting, right? So the period gives me so much information about a woman and about her state of health, not just fertility. And as I always say, you guys know, your fertility is an extension of your health. So the period is just one tool for us as Chinese medicine practitioners to begin to understand how blood is flowing in the body, how much blood there is, what's the color of the blood, what are her symptoms accompanied by her period. And that gives me an idea of where I need to, you know, if I'm doing acupuncture, where I need to put my needles, if I'm doing herbs, what herbs I think are really important. And then, of course, diet and lifestyle. Right now, I'm going to read to you something else from my first baby, Chill Out and Get Healthy. So this book I wrote back in 2008, and I cover very similar information in Yes, You Can Get Pregnant, which came out in 2014, I think. But listen up, girls. We do not need to suffer. So here's myth number one. We do not need to suffer. We do not need to suffer when we have our period. We should not have debilitating cramps. So no suffering, no cramping, or depression so deep that it scares our mothers. We should not need medication to get through our period, not Advil, not Motrin, not Xanax, not your antidepressant of choice. We should not crave chocolate so badly that we're willing to give up our big toe for some. And we should not bleed so heavily that we stain clothing, bleed through a super Tampax before leaving the house in the morning, or pass clots so big that we feel like we're giving birth. Okay, so those are some myths. We shouldn't be in pain. We shouldn't have emotional suffering. We shouldn't have super heavy bleeding. We shouldn't have cravings or, you know, any of these extreme symptoms. They just shouldn't exist. It's not a sign of optimal health. It's not a sign of Tiangwei being in its abundant right order. There shouldn't be spotting at any point outside of your monthly cycle. When your period comes, you shouldn't get pimples. You shouldn't get diarrhea. You shouldn't get constipation. You shouldn't get insomnia. You shouldn't get night sweats. You shouldn't have extreme mood swings or headaches. And you definitely shouldn't need a day off of work. Seriously, the whole premenstrual syndrome complex does not need to be the bane of your existence, okay? You can make changes in your life that will allay your monthly suffering. And no, I'm not referring to taking the pill. That's another myth. The pill does not fix these problems, guys. The pill is a Band-Aid. And there's loads of problems that come with taking the pill and then stopping the pill. Post-birth control syndrome, I think people are coining it now. So the pill is not a fix for all of this. Gotcha? So according to the principles of Chinese medicine, a healthy, balanced female does not have PMS. Wow. In Chinese medicine, we usually say PMS is a sign of stuck liver energy. Wow. What does that mean? It just means that the right order isn't restored. It just means things aren't flowing the way they should, right? So it could be due to emotional stagnation, physical stagnation, nutritional deficiencies, spiritual deficiencies. Any of those reasons are probably causing your premenstrual syndrome. So again, myths. You should not suffer. You should not have headaches. You should not be depressed. You should not have crazy cravings. You should not bleed so heavily. You should not bleed super lightly either. You should not spot, right? So, I mean, I think I'm going to explain. Here's what a period should look like, okay? Your period should come regularly. 28, 30, 35 days, kind of just depends. Whatever's regular for you is okay. The first day of bleeding is day 1 of your cycle. They should come on quietly with slight breast tenderness, very little cramping. They should last 4 to 6 days, starting heavier on days 1 and 2, about 8 tablespoons of blood. I don't expect you to get out and measure. Slowly tapering off the last few days. But you should be filling up, if you use pads, a couple pads, like 3 to 4 pads on days 1 and 2. If you're using tampons, which I recommend you use pads, but if you're using tampons, again, you know, a super tampon 3 times a day, 4 times a day is about 8 tablespoons of blood. If you're only filling irregular, it's not enough blood. If you're only filling a panty liner, it's not enough blood. If you're bleeding through tampons and pads, it's too much blood. So these things give me a lot of information of like, okay, where do we need to fix? How do we restore that right order? How do we balance the flow of the heavenly water, the Tiangwei? Bleeding should not at any point be excessive, meaning you should be able to make it through a few hours with a super tampon and not leak. On the other end of the spectrum, if you need to wear only panty liner, so I just said all this, the blood should be garnet, fresh red. It shouldn't be dark brown. It shouldn't be pale pink. It shouldn't be black. It shouldn't be loaded with clots. You should have small tissue-like clots. That's totally fine and normal, so it looks like wet Kleenex. But if you have like quarter, a $50, dime size clots, not really normal. Again, another sign of stagnation usually could be a sign of cold. It could be a sign of blood stagnation, chi stagnation, cold in the uterus. It kind of just depends on the case. I have to take everything into account. So there's not a one-size-fits-all diagnosis for PMS. Everybody's PMS has a different root, if you will. And so that's my job as the practitioner to get to the root of it and begin to fix it. So the period tells us so much about the state of health in the body. And when you're suffering, if you're suffering, it tells me a lot that there's, you know, from a Western perspective, chances are there's a lot of inflammation in your body. You could have something like endometriosis or polycystic ovaries. And so then the work is to begin to shift, right? Change the diet, change the lifestyle, sleep more, you know, make sure we're nourishing ourselves, eating more warm cooked foods than cold raw foods, right? So these are all the key steps to really optimizing that Tiangwei, that fertile, abundant, heavenly menstrual flow. Ciao for now. Bye, bye, bye.